the Zone podcast. In 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 the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. 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 In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. 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 In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. 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 In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone. In the Zone. In the Zone podcast. 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 In the Zone podcast.
Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the In the Zone podcast. It is your boy, B. Foster. Brian Foster is in the building. And as you can see, I'm by myself. They done left me to my own devices. People, what's wrong with them? They know better than this. So, hey, Welcome for joining me. Sean had a emergency, has a sick baby. We hope Sally gets well soon. Sean, we miss you. But you know what? I haven't been by myself in a very long time. So I'm gonna take a minute to do what I do best. Run my mouth. Ron, run that clip.
To see you out, get to where you are. Not trying to be baby, baby. Nothing venture, nothing gains. Listen. I guess it's time to say, baby, baby, how you make me feel when you come to my mind. I can't keep my cool, baby, baby. I can't hold it inside. To see you out, get to where you are. Not trying to be baby, baby. Nothing venture, nothing gains. Don't you know that?
So thank you, Ron. Let's get there. You go. So what we see here in this clip, and I'm sure many of you all were at this concert, Brandy says, "Hey y'all, my sound sings for a little bit, got a big ass, missy ass, heavy ass, feathered down coat on, and you know it's hot as shit on that stage with all them lights and all them black people. So I guess she don't really like her sound, and she, as you see, exits the stage and doesn't come back. Now, then she sends a letter a couple of days later. I don't know who these rich people have as their publicist, as their PR people, as their marketing folks. I'll just say this, Brandy, you need to fire yours. And if you need to holler at your boy, I'm here for you. Listen, you cannot send a letter out the next day then saying how you were dehydrated and you had practiced for a couple of hours. And Chris Brown at motherfucking Wrigley Field dancing all up and down, flying through the air. Chris Brown ain't get dehydrated, girl. You better drink some water, some lemon tea. I don't know what you got to do for your voice. You better figure that joint out, though. You are not doing a whole lot of dancing. You're not doing a whole lot. So I don't want to hear, and I hope, again, that Brandy is well and is healthy. Although I heard she put on a great performance the next night. So it is wild to me that she came to Chicago, got frustrated with her sound, which tells me you didn't do a good sound check. Another professional piece. And then you got on stage, didn't like your sound, got frustrated by the whole situation, and then rather say, "Hey y'all, let me go fix my sound and come back," rather than say, "Hey y'all, something ain't right. I'm gonna bring my girl Monica on. We're gonna do it. You know what? Let me fix my sound. We're gonna do something." You just saunter yourself right off the stage. Don't tell anybody anything. Don't finish the concert. No explanation. You send Monica out there to have to half-ass give you the. How you gonna have the Boy Is Mine tour and you don't sing the Boy Is Mine? It just don't seem like it adds up, people. So there's a level of professionalism that I expect from my professional artist. Brandy been in this game 30 plus years. Got parents have been in the game longer than that. Even Ray J, with his drunk hoeing ass, would not have done that. You cannot just exit the stage. Even if you felt faint, you better pass out on the motherfucking stage. So I understand why the show didn't go on. Like, oh my God, Brandon passed out. Is she okay? You can't just wander your ass off the stage and then not come back and not say nothing and then give a weak explanation the next day. That's not what we doing, people. This is not professionalism. And everybody that paid their money that was at the United Center that night, I'm sure a lot of you had a great time up until that point. I heard that my girl Kelly Rowland with her fine self put on a great show. I heard Money Long with her fine self. I heard she put on a good show. Hey, and I heard Monica and Brandy to that point were good. I am sorry that you all were disappointed and felt like you were holding the bag. We expect more from our professional singers and artists in this day and age. Brandy been in the game too long. Again, I wish her health. I wish her wealth. I pray that everything is okay, but I don't buy her letter. I don't buy the excuse afterwards. I think she got frustrated by the sound. She pouted like a brat and got off the stage. And I'm sorry that for you all that were there, you had to experience that. And Brand, if you ever see this, and you won't, but if you ever see this, you should have put out a letter that night, that morning, not 24 hours later. What were your people doing? Were they sick too? Were they dehydrated? Do I need to get them Gatorade, Pedialyte? Do we need to figure out your PR staff how to get them situated? I don't need that shit. I'll tell you right now, I'm 247 with this, baby. I don't need nothing. Maybe a little cocaine. That's all I need. Keep me moving and we good. It's just a bad look. And coming off of and a lot of people were a little frustrated with the Raphael Sadiq thing the week before because they didn't know what to expect. But professionalism throughout. Great show. Great performance. I wouldn't even call it a show. It wasn't a concert. It was a performance. He put on a great performance. I don't know what is going on with our video right now. Brian, are we good? All right. We're going to keep moving. Hey, great performance. If the video dragging, don't worry about it. Listen to the sound of my voice. Listen to the sound of my voice. Great performance by Ralph. I heard Brandy and Monica put on great shows other cities. Unfortunately, Chicago, we got the short end. But I've heard through my sources that they might circle back and put it on again to ensure that those got them that. Well, that's not true because they already sold tickets to the Western Wind Trust. So if you didn't buy those tickets, you ain't gonna get to see them again. I'm sorry, they're not doing this shit free. But if you want to, go to the Wind Trust and see them on Saturday, I still hear good seats are available because everybody know they jacked it up last week. Anyway, since me and Sean were not here, I'm sure Sean might have had a different take on that, but since she wasn't here to argue with me, I only get to speak my piece. Boom! To that point, Ron, give me my next video.
It's not.
Yeah.
I can't.
And
I can't
I
have a
get a lot of
conversation
hate
with you.
because people are always like, "Oh, you're just jealous." I'm really not jealous. I'm very happy in my relationship. And if my husband did leave me for a 19-year-old, it wouldn't make me jealous of the 19-year-old. It'd make me look at him in a different way.
And be like, what the hell, dude?
What's going on in your life that this is what you've decided to do? So it's nothing in that sense. It's just more of a sense of what men think when they walk into a room with a woman that's 20 years younger and smoking hot while they're not. They think everyone's thinking, wow. But what we're really thinking is, how are you stupid enough to not realize why she's here?
Yes,
we're
totally.
not thinking, wow, you're so cool. We're thinking, wow, you're really rich. Other women might look at you thinking, okay, I can also use and abuse him. And other men are looking at you like, oh, you're probably really enjoying it, but how much is she? How much is she? And they're probably thinking they have a chance. So you devalue your status, if anything, rather than enhance it.
Younger women, just, it's not.
Yeah.
I can't.
And
I can't
I
have a
get a lot of
conversation
hate
with you.
because people are always like, oh, you're just jealous. I'm really not jealous. I'm very happy in my relationship. And if my husband did leave me for a 19-year-old, it wouldn't make me jealous of the 19-year-old. It'd make me look at him in a different way.
And be like, what?
All right, y'all, what up? We are back. We are having some video issues for some reason. I'm not quite sure why we're dragging and lagging. So I'm sure our engineer will figure that out. But in the meantime, in between time, we're gonna keep it moving. Listen to the sound of my voice. Don't worry about the screen. We will figure that out. I want to introduce my guest before we get into our topic. On my left, you saw her here about a month ago. She was talking about BDRs and bad penis and good penis and what I got from that episode was Rashawn is gonna get hers no matter what.
Period.
Sean is in the building. What's going on, baby?
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm excellent.
This is the first time actually meeting her in person, by the way. So this is a pleasure for her. And on my right,
The pleasure's all his.
it is definitely on mine. And on my right, this is my man. We go back further than I care to admit. He is, however, an in his own virgin.
No,
No, what show were you on before?
a couple of years ago.
Oh, you sure were on the show a couple of years. You're right.
Yeah.
So he's not a virgin. You're right. We can't even break his in his own chair. It's already been bust. But my man, my former barber, before they weren't his services were no longer needed. My man Rob, what's going on, baby?
Hey, going well.
Doing well?
Happy to be here.
Hey,
Yes,
I'm happy to have you back. So listen, this is what we're gonna do. Rob getting blown up as he is right now. I see you on TV. We are going to the topic for the day, as you saw in the trailer, is dating younger, trauma or thrill. Now, some people would argue that people that date younger have some trauma that they're working through and may not even know it themselves. Other people would say, dating younger keeps me young. Only young motherfucker can keep up with me. So we're about to have that conversation and hash it out right here, right now. The video is still a little off. Just listen to the sound of my voice. All right, so let me ask you this, Rob.
Okay.
Is dating younger about preference, power, or projection?
I'm sure it's a little of each. For me, there's some power in there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some. In my 40s, I dated a lot of 20-year-olds, not 20, but in their 20-somethings, mid to late 20s. And it was easy. I didn't have to do any work. They just were more attracted to me. And now I'm getting the attention of a lot of late 30-year-olds. I don't go looking. It's just, hey, it's just readily available a lot of times. I think they think I'm a lot younger than I actually look.
Not that much younger.
No. Got a little mingling gray here. But yeah, I mean, they
just make sure you in that mic.
Okay, yeah. So, but it's not a lot of work. They don't come with a lot of baggage. They're not jaded. And it's not a preference of mine. I've dated women older than me. That's fun. Don't have to worry about getting a lot of them pregnant.
The older ones.
The older ones.
But we're talking about the younger ones.
Okay, we're talking about the younger ones.
How you navigating that with the younger ones?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I recently stopped, entertaining one. She was 33.
You're 59.
59.
She's 33.
33.
Okay.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. But was that a preference or was that power?
No, I didn't even know until I got to know her. She didn't care. I didn't care. I mean, she's a woman. I'm a man. It was not. And then after I started thinking about it, she's probably in her 30s. And then the conversation came up at about the third or fourth date. She asked me how old was I. I said, I'm in my 50s. And she was like, okay. I said, I assume you in your 30s. She said, yeah. I said, you good? She's like, I'm fine. Well, all righty. And we continued to have fun for about a good 3-4 months. I mean, I think I felt in the beginning this wasn't a career move. It was going to just be fun.
So you walked in knowing I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
That's it.
Did she know the same?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She did.
All right. So she knew already. I'm not in this to wipe this old nigga ass when he got to go to the nursing home. Okay. All right. That's fair. That is fair.
Right. Yeah.
Sean, so I hear you date younger.
I do.
Tell me about, is that about power, preference, or is that just how it so happens to be?
So definitely not about power, because if I'm dating you, there can't be any type of power struggle. We have to be on the same plane.
Okay.
Definitely preference.
Okay.
And a little bit of projection depending on the success of the relationship or the fun before that.
Elaborate.
And the expectation.
Elaborate.
So like if you've had a good time with like 5 or 6 young men, then hey, let's go to the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Versus the 50-some-year-old men, I was gonna say Negroes, but the 50-some-year-olds who are boring, slow, and want to have all of this fun, but they not fun.
So you say they ready to get down, but they can't really get down with the get down.
Pretty much.
But the young boys can.
They can.
What do you talk about with these young people?
Well, it depends.
Or are you even talking?
We are talking.
Okay.
Because Communication is key.
Okay.
That's how I want you to be intellectually stimulating first.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, depends on the young man. Like met a young man, 38, retired Navy, vet, and owns property. And so it depends on where he is in his life and what he's done.
Okay.
In order for us to kind of have some fun together.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Rob, when you're talking to these 30-somethings, are you worried about where they are in their life and their maturity level and all those types of good things? Okay.
That is a concern.
Tell me about it.
The most recent one was she was still figuring it out. She was on a good path, but she was still figuring life out.
Okay.
And I found that there was really nothing I could do to support that. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just here for a good time. Let me chill.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have met one. There's a young lady who's 37. She's got 2 PhDs. She's been around the world. She's in the 6 figures. She's running things. She's a boss. And there's not much I need to say or teach or anything. I mean, she's been around the block.
Okay.
And she ready. I always accuse her of being older than she says she is. I said, "Girl, you about 47. 37."
Mm-hmm.
But so it depends. It really, really depends.
Depends. Okay.
Yeah. On their life experience.
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely the drive of the person and what they want. Because the YNs, the sagging pants, and I smoke weed every day. And it's like, sir, what do you feel like I would be interested in about that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a no. But career path, well versed, give me a little, I like them a little rough, but please be intellectual at the same time.
How rough we talking?
It depends. I'm a lady.
Now you a lady. First of all, I saw the BDR show. Lady might not be exactly how I would frame this, but we gonna let you have that today.
You gonna call me a lady?
Let me ask you all this, because socially, you're dating, you date younger, and you're dating younger, but socially acceptable is you dating younger, right? Nobody's really, well, maybe a few people, but most people are kind of like, look at that, all right, Rob, look at you, my dog.
That's what my guy said.
You know what I'm saying? And then other folks are looking at you like, what's she doing with this little young? What is? You are robbing the crowd. So why do we think? And is it fair for society to say it's cool for you and not for you?
I don't know though. Is that really true these days?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Because I think since Stella got her groove back.
Oh, you think for the past 30 years it's been different?
Yeah, because it happens. It's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it, but I don't know that there's a real disparity between the two.
I think it's more acceptable for us to date younger, only because.
You think it's the reverse?
I do.
Talk to me.
Because if you have boys, your boys, y'all sit around, y'all talking, and he's talking about this 20-year-old, this 30-year-old, and they looking at you like, what you doing with her? Like, seriously, you got this young girl, and everybody in the room got a daughter about the age of the girl that you dating, and they like, dog, really? Is this what we doing? Is my daughter safe? And so, I think it's more acceptable for us to date younger because,
So when you sit around your girls, and you saying, I got me this 35-year-old, blah, 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 38, dot, dot, dot.
He's traveled, well-versed, he owns property, he fine, he can go hours and hours.
Not hours and hours. So what if you out in the world, though? You out at a bar, a restaurant, a lounge, whatever, or museum, whatever you might like to do. And other people are like, now maybe they don't even notice. Maybe they think y'all the same age because you look young and spry. But if somebody, was like, hold on, she 50-something, he 30-something, and they kind of, you don't think they giving you the eye at all?
I don't care.
Oh, there it is.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm like, if you want to write me a check or sign some property over to me or pay some bills or something, I definitely don't live my life according to what people like or